The best deeds. Learning objectives. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. May the peace, blessings, and mercy of Allah be upon you. Today's lesson is about the hadith of the best deeds. Let's begin. We know that Allah Almighty will reward a human with many hasanat for every good deed he does in this world. There is a reward from Allah Almighty for every good deed. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, showed us that the reward of some good deeds is greater than others. It was narrated from the companion Abdullah bin Mas'ud that a man came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and asked him, O Messenger of Allah, which deed is best? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the salah offered on time, honoring one's parents, and jihad in the cause of Allah. Now, my friends, let's learn about the narrator of this hadith and discuss the important words that came in the hadith. The narrator of the hadith is, his name is Abdullah bin Mas'ud al-Hudayli. As for his tribe, he was from al-Hudayli tribe. He was a high status because he was a great companion of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He was the sixth man to convert to Islam, and he was the first to recite the Holy Quran out loud at the Kaaba. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, loved to hear the Quran from Abdullah bin Mas'ud. May Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever would like to recite the Quran as fresh as when it was revealed, let him recite it like Ibn Abdullah. That is Abdullah bin Mas'ud. May Allah be pleased with him. Now let's learn about the important words and phrases that came in the hadith. Jihad means to exert oneself and one's money to uphold the word of Allah the Almighty by defending one's country and oneself, seeking knowledge, studying and learning, and seeking livelihood for one's children and raising them. The next important phrase is honoring one's parents. This phrase means to treat our mother and father kindly, obey them, and avoid being harsh to them, especially in their old age. So, we find that the hadith told us what the best of deeds are. The three topics mentioned were prayer, salah on time, honoring one's parents, and jihad in the cause of Allah. Let's talk about these deeds. The first one was mentioned in the hadith, the establishing prayer on time. We all know that Islam commanded us to pray 5 times a day, and it was also commanded us to pray them on time, as Allah the Almighty said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Indeed, performing prayers is a duty on the believers at the appointed times. Prayer, my friends, is the first deed that we will be held accountable for by Allah the Almighty. It was narrated by Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, said that the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, indeed, the first deed by which a servant will be called to account on the day of resurrection is his salat. If it is complete, he is successful and saved. But if it is defective, he has failed and lost. Establishing prayer on time is a reason for a person to enter paradise on the day of judgment. Now that we have talked about establishing prayers on time, which deed will we talk about next? Islam, my friends, commanded us to treat our parents with kindness, serve them, and avoid disobeying them. The noble Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned honoring one's parents right after mentioning prayer. This is because prayer is for Allah the Almighty, and the rights of parents come after the rights of Allah Almighty. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. For your Lord has decreed that you worship none but Him and honor your parents. Allah the Almighty also said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So be grateful to me and your parents. To me is the final return. Now let's talk about Jihad for the sake of Allah. This is considered the third best deed by Allah the Almighty. Allah the Almighty also said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So be grateful to me and your parents. To me is the final return. One example is jihad against oneself, to maintain worship and stay away from worldly distractions, as well as seeking knowledge, learning and studying. Another example is defending one's country and seeking a livelihood for one's children and raising them. All of these things are considered as forms of jihad in the cause of Allah Almighty. In conclusion, my friends, today we have learned about the hadith of the prophets, peace and blessing be upon him, about the best of deeds. The hadith mentions the three best and most valued deeds to Allah Almighty, which are establishing prayer on time, honoring one's parents, and jihad in the cause of Allah Almighty. We also learned that the narrator of the hadith is a great companion of the Prophet, whose name is Abdullah bin Mas'ud al-Hudayli, and that he is from the Hudayli tribe. He was the sixth man to convert to Islam, and he was the first to recite the Holy Quran aloud at the Kaaba. Finally, we learned that establishing prayer is done by performing the prayer's rak'ah on time, and that honoring one's parents is done by treating them with good companionship and being kind and dutiful to them. We also learned that jihad in the cause of Allah includes all types of exertion of oneself to uphold the word of Allah Almighty.